What's up, y'all? Got a spray rig. Reported engine is not running well. Keeps crapping out. Well, let's see. Well, it is interesting. Okay. I'm gonna get a flashlight and have a look in there. Alright, so I took the air filter off. I've mentioned this before, but certainly worth mentioning again. This round gasket right here is supposed to stay on the air intake. Too many people have inadvertently thrown it away because it sticks to the air filter. So don't lose it, don't forget it. The air filter itself doesn't look too bad as far as being clean. It looks pretty good. However, this is supposed to be completely glued to this air filter. It's possible that it was allowed to get a little debris in there. Not likely, but potential for debris to get in there. So I'm going to take the air intake housing off, and there are a couple of small air passages right in the intake side of the carburetor that I'm gonna take a look at, see if they're dirty. Might be. Okay, there's a little hose back here. It doesn't really matter if it stays or goes, it'll pull right out here. There you go. There's a gasket back there. It's very durable, so you won't rip it. What do we have up in here? It's a little wet and a little dirty. Okay, so here's that gasket. Very rugged. Damn near, I would say, impossible to break it. Okay, your choke is right here, and then these are your air passages. So I think what I will do, I'm going to take the bowl of the carburetor off again. I'm going to take the float out, and I'm going to do a better job of blowing out all these air passages. Check the throttle linkage back up in there. It looks fine. Choke looks fine. Alright, get right back to you. Alright, so I just took this off again, and I'm still seeing quite a bit of silt. Could be rust from in the tank. Alright, so I'm gonna go, we're gonna do a little bit more here. Alright. Alright, this will be fun for y'all. I'm gonna take this carburetor off. I'm gonna completely dismantle it. Now I'm gonna soak it in solution. And I'm also gonna vacuum the fuel out of the fuel tank. Do an oil change. Check the spark plug out. And go from there. Alright, let's start with the oil. I already checked the level just to make sure it wasn't low, as that would give the same symptoms really, where if it senses that it doesn't have oil, it will kill the ignition. Alright, so I'm going to start with the oil. Okay, good with that. Now the gas. I do the oil before the gas, that way my hose isn't full of oil if I have a choice. I'm sure you probably can't see this, but I am right on top of the fuel strainer, and I am trying to find any pockets of debris, rust, silt, anything like that. Alright, that's pretty squeaky clean there. Okay, now if I open this back up, alright, I must have gotten it all, so that's nice. Okay. Alright, so I'll take that apart when I get it off. And so we've already taken the air intake housing off. These two nuts that hold that housing on also hold the carburetor on. So this choke lever pops right off, don't lose it. Now the carburetor should be ready to break free from the gasket. This gasket back here is more delicate, so you want to be careful with that one. Alright. Now see what the fuel is doing here? See how it's kind of phasing out? And look at all the silt in there now. Alright, that's some pretty rough looking gasoline right there. Okay, next will be the fuel line. You can see back here there's a little clamp. Okay, fuel line. And then I'm just going to use my needle nose pliers. Probably get a little gas here. Yep, a little bit. Okay. Now, not direct pressure. I'm not going to shove this right in there and give it to her, but I am going to blow through this fuel line, which will blow through the strainer and will blow all the silt and debris off the strainer. See how I didn't just shove it right in there and give it to her? You could rupture that strainer if you do. Alright, so I'm good with that. Now, next, alright, I don't know if you can see that, but the gasket is attached to the carburetor most of the way around, except for the very bottom. And it's sticking right at the very bottom here. Okay. I just did that so that I could reuse the gasket. Oh, now it's just trying to hang up on the bolt over there. Okay, now it's with me. Alright, next thing. There is a slot here, and that will line up with it. It has to be straight, so it won't come up here. It has to be turned straight so that it comes up and out. And then this spring, okay, that's your governor throttle control linkage and spring. Alright, so now, again, just being careful of the gasket because I would like to reuse it. Okay, that's all good there. Okay. Okay. So that's good. It's good. Yeah, it's looking a little dirty up in there. Okay. I'm just going to set that down. Being careful not to lose the pin for the float. Okay, happy with that. Alright. That's all good there. Okay, I am going to just put this back on there. Okay, nice and carefully. And then, as you can see, matched it up the way it came off. Alright, I am going to clean off this carburetor a little bit with the air chuck. I'm going to take it into my truck and dismantle it, and I will show you. Okay, everything's been soaking for 20 minutes now. Already cleaned off the float and the float needle. You missed the excitement, but I use, to clean off the float needle, I just stick it in my mouth, wipe it off, stick it in my mouth, wipe it off, stick it in my mouth, wipe it off. That's how I roll. Alright, so now, yeah, it is just about time for me to get a new can of parts cleaner. I have to put that on the list. Alright, now I gotta go rinse this off with water. Keep doing that until the water's clear. Alright, nice and clear now. Oh, was clear. Okay, just okay, reassemble. Probably not enough light. No, my flashlight out there, but anyways. Okay, so it's up against the stops. Confident. Snug it. Alright, so I was saying earlier, this only goes in one way. You see this oval opening here. You see that oval slot right there, hopefully. That lines up right there. Right. Careful when you're cranking that you don't break anything plastic. Okay, float goes back in just there. And then the pin goes through and just kind of center it a little bit. Okay, what I like to do is leave the gas valve on, and then I'll blow through here, and then I'll check it here, and I want to get a feel for, you know, how high up does the float have to go before it shuts off the fuel supply. That's pretty good. Yep, pretty. You want it to be kind of level. You don't want it to have to be way up here and, you know, could possibly flood out, but the engine flooding does not seem to be our problem. Okay, done there. All right, now, okay, so now we're just going to reverse the procedure. I am going to, okay, the gasket's already in place. I'm going to get this started. Okay, spring gets hooked into that little hole right there. This comes up, and remember I was saying you gotta, come on, there we go. You have to make sure this slot is lined up. Okay, that's good. Fuel hose. Beautiful. Okay. That's great. All right, that's that. That was in the middle, assuming it'll go back in the same spot. This just goes right on that big pin, and then the little pin goes in that slot. Make sure you're working. Should face this way, and this should face this way, so that you can reassemble this. This vent line goes into the valve cover right there, and you want this oriented this way and this way so that it slides through and doesn't get hung up. Oh, gasket. The gasket should be self-explanatory. You got a hole up there and a big opening here. It's not going to look very good that way or that way, so really pretty much can't mess that up. Okay. There we go there. All right, now the way I like to do this, I like to just get this bolt started up in here, but I don't tighten it yet. Okay. Nice and even. Okay, hand tight there. Now don't kill it. But you want it good and snug. Once those two are good and snug, then you can snug this one up. Okay. I'll probably take that spark plug out and see what it looks like. But in the meantime, I did I drained the oil out of the pump and the reduction gear because they were both dirty, nasty, and hadn't been changed in some time. That's what the reduction gear oil looked like. That's not so good. All right. This is the plug. Goes in the bottom of the reduction gear. This is for the drain. And then this is the plug. It goes in the bottom of the pump. Can you see up in there? Okay. It's for the bottom of the pump. All right. So that's in by hand. I have 7/8. Yeah, 7/8. Okay. 7/8. All right. So the fill for the pump side is right here, and it takes forever. So I'm gonna get started on that right away. I am using, what it calls for is a non-detergent straight 30 weight oil. I like to use Mobile Raris 427 air compressor oil. Right. Keep things clean. Part of the reason the oil was so gross in here is because the O-ring for the cap was not properly seated, and so it was probably taking in all sorts of debris from the air. All right, so this takes about a half a quart, I think. Look how clean that is. All right, you see how it's bubbling up? All right, so I'm gonna slowly let that trickle on down. I'm gonna tighten up this plug right here. This reduction gear takes 80/90 weight or straight 90 weight. I'm gonna use 80/90, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm topping that off. All right, this was just really not in very good shape. So it threaded in just fine, and then really with not really even much pressure, it just tore right apart. So most likely it was probably starting to tear when I took it out. So now I'm gonna just look for a plug for that and use that as my sight overflow, or whatever you want to call it. Oop. It takes forever, so keep an eye on it. Definitely try to get that started as soon as I can. because it takes forever. Alright, so this is my 80-90 weight here. For all of you who have changed your own differential oil, this is how I do it. I have a pump. I've already filled the engine oil, in case you're wondering. I think that takes about a half quart as well. Come on. So the pump, I think, takes about a half quart, half to 3/4, somewhere in there. Same with this reduction gear. Gotta be almost full. Good Lord. There we go. Alright, so now I'm gonna go look for a plug to replace that with. Alright, so remember I was saying about this rubber gasket, not to lose it. Do not lose it. I am replacing the air filter. Still burping oil down into the pump casing. The thing I haven't touched yet is the spark plug, because I'm not sure I'm done diagnosing a problem with this engine. Oil's changed, filling, oiling, everything is good there. Alright, gonna add some gas, finish topping off the pump oil, and then give it a whirl.